Believe it or not, the Garden of Eden also has a front yard. I know we don't come out here very often or talk about it. The area is in need of some TLC. I have a tree trimming company that comes and takes care of the palms for us and also trims the bougainvilleas. Our landscape company changed because the gentleman kind of lost his business because of COVID-19. And so we just started with a new landscaper. The weeds have gotten a little out of control in the meantime, so there's some weeding that needs to be done. But let's take a look at what we've got out here. I would say my favorite part of the front yard is our frangipani and the plumerias. This is done quite well. The flowers are absolutely beautiful and they smell amazing. Hiding underneath the plumeria and frangipani is a giant agave. This plant I've had for many years. Started as a tiny little shoot and it has gotten very large. I have another one that I'll show you that's by the front door in a pot. Also back here we have, amongst the jungle, like I said, the weeding has gotten out of control with the change in landscapers. I've got a couple pineapple plants and these produce wonderful pineapples. This pineapple plant has been with us for probably since we've had the house. Really, we planted most of the pineapple heads at that time, so probably about 3 or 4 years. And you could see it is producing a pineapple. This will be the second pineapple that this particular plant produces, and they are super, super sweet. These beautiful oleander are also a nice addition to the front yard. We do have the big, beautiful oleander in the backyard. This one is just starting to get its flowers, and between the oleander, the frangipani, and the plumeria, I consistently have to stay on top of making sure that they don't get a fungus, which is why I keep that fungicide around. They oftentimes have to be sprayed down once you start to see the leaves brown a little bit and get damaged. It might need a spraying. I could just start to see that some of the leaves are discoloring, so it wouldn't be a bad idea to give it a hit probably today. Something else that I purchased a very long time ago and tried to grow are these little vandas that I attached to our Christmas palm. And you can see they have done a great job at attaching. If I can come around and show you here, the roots have really attached, and they go all the way up and down the tree. But as with all of my vandas, I can't seem to get them to do anything. But they are small. They don't get a lot of water. I don't water out here. I let nature take its course. When the sprinkler system is actually working, they get a little more rain, more water, but I don't typically come out here and spray like I should. When we first bought the house, this whole area was that landscape green and yellow hedging stuff, and it was kind of overgrown with other things. And when we ripped all that out, we discovered that there were 2 little rose bushes hidden amongst all of that mess, and we've kept them. You can see the one on the right isn't doing as well. It doesn't get as much sun, and the one on the left isn't doing exactly well either, but it does produce flowers. And again, it needs a little TLC. I definitely don't spend as much time out here in the front as I do in the back. Another little rose bush that I had gotten somewhere along the lines and decided it needed to move out of a pot and into the ground. It's doing okay, but like I said, it needs some love. couple more pineapple heads too. I don't think that these have yet to produce fruit. They are younger than the others. This particular bromeliad is absolutely beautiful. Look forward to showing that to you when it's in full bloom. But the flower spikes that come off of it are these giant red blooms. They're really pretty. Here's the other agave that started as a small little plant and has become this gigantic plant. And I will say it acts as a pretty good security deterrent, right? Anybody that was thinking about trying to come into this window would be met with some really, really sharp thorns. Another fun thing here in the front. These are a bunch of little succulents. I bought this hanging plant system at some orchid show or something I went to years ago. Again, needing to do some grooming up here because these are spent. But look at how cute these flowers are. They're just so pretty. The colors, kind of unexpected from the plant. But they do really well out here because they don't get a whole lot of water. They are succulents and they don't need it. I can give this a spin and you can see we have two little creature friends that live out here in the front yard. This is Henry the heron. And this is Marvin the manatee. He's also in need of a little TLC and a good scrub down. And then this is the little side yard that leads over to the side yard where we planted the butterfly garden. There is a beautiful hibiscus that lives down here at the base. And unfortunately it doesn't have any flowers on it right now, but it's got a beautiful red flower to it. And in case you ever wonder what lives on the other side of the house that we don't typically show, that is where Real Love lives. Alright, like I said, the front needs some love, and we're going to do it a little bit today. My neighbor was kind enough, I paid him, but he was kind enough to pressure wash our front driveway and walkways yesterday, so that got cleaned up. But then of course the splatter and overspray from that project sprayed all over my plants and the furniture, and so now it's time to clean those things up as well. Everything is always a project, right? We use coffee grounds, or used coffee grounds, to put at the base of the roses, as well as I use them in the back on the gardenia. So that's always a great, I find it to be a healthy fertilizer and a great reuse of something that would normally just wind up in the trash. There are certainly folks who take a lot of pride in their roses and have amazing award-winning rose bushes. That is not me. This is here. It survives. It puts off flowers, and every once in a while I come out here and clip back the, dead stuff. But maybe I need to do some research and be better at my roses. They're so pretty, really. I mean, this little flower, as scraggly as this plant is, that little rose is doing so pretty. So maybe it's time to educate myself on how to better take care of these. I cut back some of the rose tips. I just usually hack at each little limb and cut away the dead. I also cleaned up the bromeliad here. Of course, I probably should have waited until I cleaned it up to show it to you in the first place. But One thing I'll tell you, you definitely want to use gloves when you are working. Look at how much I cleaned up out of there. When you're working with really any bromeliad, but especially these, the leaves are like swords, and you can't really see it, but they have these really sharp edges. And so I don't care if you think, oh, well, I'll just man up and put my hands down in there and weed without gloves, which I would never recommend. The aftermath, the little nicks and cuts the next day are so itchy and painful, it is not worth it. So definitely wear gloves when working with a bromeliad. Hey, look at that. I got a new hose sprayer. It is what feels like 120 degrees outside. So of course we want to spray off that hot water that's been laying in the hose. Okay, I've got to learn the new settings on my hose because they're different. Soft wash used to be a different, that was mist on the other one. Clean on this one was center on the old one, so now I've got to learn the lingo of my new hose sprayer. I believe what we want is garden. Yeah, that'll work. I just want to rinse off all the dirt that got pulled up onto these when we were pressure washing yesterday. These two little pineapples are ornamental pineapples. Finally starting to root. I know that there's a little pup that's growing down there. There's another little pup down here. These actually were pieces that I took from a friend's backyard. So thanks, Eric. Oh, they look so much cleaner. I'm gonna go ahead and spray my roses and let that coffee grind kind of get down into the soil a little bit. When doing any kind of garden cleanup, you always expect the unexpected. When you're putting your hands down in a pot, you might experience a frog, lizards for sure, snakes occasionally. So that's to kind of just be expected, right? Expect the unexpected. I mentioned that I have some folks, a tree trimming company, that'll come and take care of the palms that need it. And they also trim the bougainvilleas in the back, and sometimes I have them do some other random projects. I certainly could have them come out here and trim these things back and pull all the dead off of stuff, but there's really something to be said for doing it yourself. For me, it's kind of relaxing and meditative, and to be a part of it, a part of the process, it just makes it feel so much more worth it, with the exception of certain things. This particular bush, the cat with nine tails, I think this is called, very lovely plant, does well here in South Florida. This is definitely a snake haven, and I do not get involved in that. So I will leave this for them to trim back. They also will hit all of these little palm seeds. I don't really get into that either. I also have them trim these fluffy plants back. Not so much because I'm afraid of snakes on this one, but they do it so nicely and kind of shape it. I don't even know how, so I just let them do it as part of their process. While we're over here, let's take a look at this particular tree. I'm not sure what this is called. It came with the house and we've left it. It is a haven for bees. Bees love, and I'm surprised there's none on here today, but they love these red flowers. And I'm assuming then butterflies, oh, there are some bees, I see them. The butterflies also really enjoy this plant, so we are happy to have those pollinators here. And so we leave this bee. It actually sprouted, if you see back here, it decided to put up another one. And when this was small, oh, there's a bee. When this was small, we looked at it and decided that we were going to leave it and let it go. First of all, it'll fill in nicely. It's a plant that produces more flowers for the pollinators, and eventually as that fills in, it'll kind of help to create a bush barrier between our fence there and the neighbor's driveway, so that's an added bonus. And it gives shade back here also to these plants, and you can see how overgrown with weeds this all is and how much work this needs. I'm a little at a loss as to what to do with my aloe. This was a upright aloe that used to sit under the mango tree in the backyard. Well, it tipped over or got knocked over in a massive squirrel chase, and it started, I just left it sideways and it started to go upright, and it kind of looked cool back there. Well, I relocated it here to the front, and in doing so, it's not getting the same level of water. It might be getting a little more sun, so it's not doing as well. And it is still thriving though. I mean, there's new growth on it. You can see there, that's a new shoot. And so, I don't know, we're going to rehab this at some point. By moving the aloe out of the way, it gives me better access to get back here to the pineapple, which I'm going to clean up. Doesn't need a lot of cleanup, but I could see down along the bottom on the left there, it's got some old fronds that need to come off. Talking about bromeliads earlier, pineapples are a type of bromeliad, and with that they also have these sharp sword-like leaves, so you definitely want to be careful with playing with those. Okay, it's the moment we've been waiting for. The tree trimmers have come, and they're taking care of trimming up the palms and doing some more hand weeding to get what I didn't get in the front, and they're going to do some hand weeding in the back. I don't have the equipment to be able to trim these palms, so it's really helpful that they do this for us, and I appreciate them. They appreciate the work, and it's a great setup. One of the areas here that needs a lot of attention is underneath Real Love. It's hard to get to. Our landscaper doesn't really get into this area, and you can see all of the weeds and the grass that's starting to grow up around it. So they're going to take care of all of that for us. I appreciate it. One of the areas I've asked them not to touch is our milkweed, because if you recall, remember when the seeds broke open and we had the feathery seeds? And I mashed them down into the ground. These are what I'm hoping are baby milkweed. So I don't want them to do any weeding because I don't know that they're going to be able to tell the difference between the seedlings that I am hoping to shoot up versus something different like I would. So just to make things easy, I told them to just stay out of this flower bed. We also have a new chrysalis. This area is getting big and full. Speaking of my seedlings, here's a little caterpillar who decided he didn't need to wait for the plant to get any bigger. He's going to eat it now. So one of the areas that they'll trim for us too are the bougainvilleas. They certainly get wild and out of control, especially with the amount of rain that we've gotten. And so they'll take them down to size, shape them up into a nice little ball, and we'll restart. Fortunately, they finished just in time because now here comes the rain. Well, the sun's finally come back out and we can see what a beautiful job they did trimming all the palms and cleaning things up.